Previously on my channel, I've done a review on the Launch X431 Pro Elite amongst Autel's, King Boland's, iCar Soft. Christmas is around the corner. I've just done a little short on some amazing discounts that you can get for diagnostic tools. I've got another one to show you. It is the Launch X431 CRP919X Bluetooth version. Is very similar to my Launch X431 Pro Elite. Done a full video, that's below if you want to know. But today we're going to have a look at this and see what this is all about. Now, what I'm really keen to see is how the Bluetooth and the additional functions, because even though it's a very similar device, it actually does boast a few more goodies. So let's get out of the box and have a look.
Let's move on, 'cause it's time to move on.
Oof. Nice little neat box. Let's get it open. And there she is in all her glory. Even got the protective screen still on it. Let's have a quick look and see what's going on. We've got some connection ports here. USB-C. In this one, a regular USB. That would be for auxiliary connections, maybe things like an oscilloscope, endoscope, that sort of thing. It's got a camera on the back, and it's got this lovely protective case. One thing I like about Launch is that they have that, so it can take a few knocks in the garage, etc. The screen is nice and large, but actually the bezel's nice and small, so it's pretty compact and convenient. Importantly, we need the Bluetooth module. That's what controls the talk and the communication between the car and the unit. So you're going to have a cable and this little device here. So this Bluetooth module here will plug into the car, into the OBD2. You leave that where it is, and then you get your control unit, and you've got that flexibility, and it allows you then to maybe to go into the engine and go away from the car, which is quite handy. You're not restricted by, say, a 2-meter cable. Actually, this is quite similar to King Boland. I've done a full review on that one too, and it actually uses a mobile phone with a Bluetooth connectivity, very similar, but this has its own dedicated device to use between the two. One key important thing to note is behind this little panel here, you're going to have some paperwork. Make sure you don't lose that paperwork, because inside there's one of these perforated codes, and you need that to get your 2-year free updates. So very important that you do that. Let me just give you a quick overview on some of these functions. 35 different service resets. Fully wireless, does 5G, 2.4G, it does ECU coding, live data graphing. It gives you 2-year free updates as well in your software. It does the VAG, which is a Volkswagen Audi group, by automatically finding the VIN, as well as automatically finding the VIN on all the other cars as well. And it also does CAN FD and your DOIP, which is different CAN bus protocols that you get on slightly newer cars. Some of the things this can do, just to let you know, let's say you have a control unit that's operating the pneumatics for a soft close on your boot. You have to go and buy a new one, or you might get one which needs to be coded. You can take the coding using this and put it onto your new replacement unit. It's going to allow you to program certain things that you wouldn't normally be able to see through your car's dashboard. It can do things like gearbox resets, coding resets, ABS, steering angle sensor, brake monitoring system. Potentially, if you've got things like AdBlue, if you've got a diesel vehicle, you can reset it with that as well. It's fully bi-directional. This is going to mean that you can actually look at live data. Say you've got a problem with your ABS sensor, you'll be able to see which sensor you have an issue with, because it will fluctuate at a different speed. Of course, you can clear your codes, you can read your codes, but you can see that live data, all importantly, because of the bi-directional ability. It does over 100 different types of car brand, and it says that it can do 99% of all cars on the planet. So it's a 7-inch screen. It comes with Android 10, and it just behaves just like a regular tablet. So just follow the instructions. So let's go and set up the Wi-Fi. Pop that in there. I'm going to choose my Wi-Fi, pop in my code. There we go, I'm all connected, and now it's probably going to go look for some updates, so I won't bore you with that. I'll do that in the background. Okay, so we're now logged in. You are going to want to connect via Bluetooth, but we'll do that when it's on the vehicle. What I want to show you is when we do a diagnostic. Usually, launches have a really good demo function, and it's excellent to be able to show you exactly what this thing can do. So let's jump into that there. Let's choose a car, any car you want. Let's go into Honda. We can go into Health Report, System Scan and System Selection. Just to give you an idea, Health Report there is going to do a full scan. It's then going to actually perform a report afterwards. System Scan is going to look for all the modules on the vehicle that you can talk to, and your System Selection is where you go into it straight away. It saves a bit of time because the full scans can take perhaps around about 6 minutes. Let's go to Health Report. It will run through. It won't be as quick as that. As I said, it will take maybe about 6 minutes or so, and it's the same with all brands of diagnostic. It's just dependent on how many control units you've got in your vehicle. What I like about Launch, it always puts the issues at the top in red, and all the ones with a clean bill of health at the bottom are in green there. So you can see that there's no issues with automatic transmission, anti-lock brake systems, or the SRS, for example. So let's concentrate on the issues. Remember, the whole point of a diagnostic tool is that it doesn't fix your car necessarily. You can clear faults and that could be the end of it, but what you're using this device for is to understand where there's an issue on the vehicle. You've got to make sure you do your hardware fault fix first, i.e. an ABS sensor. There's no point just clearing it because it's going to come straight back. So let's go into the diesel engine system and see what's going down in there. It tells me that I've got 2 faults. So if I press that button there, it tells me that the fault code, the DTC, is a P0139 and it's the air fuel ratio sensor 2. It's a malfunction slow response. It gives you an option here that you can go onto Google, so you can press that, and the lovely thing about this is it's going to jump straight into Google. As simple as that. So there comes up the P0139. This is just off the internet, and you can have a little look and understand what that fault might actually be. So let's escape that there. Let's press OK. And then the other fault is the P042 is catalyst system efficiency below threshold. Again, if you want to, you can look that up. I must admit, this is very responsive, more responsive than some of my other diagnostic tools. Right, so now let's go into that section, which is the diesel engine system. Here we've got now 7 options. Because it's bi-directional, you've got special functions and actuation tests. I'll go on to that in a second. If you want to read the fault code, that's just going to give you that information in a bit more detail to what we had on the previous page. You can do a freeze frame. You can also look at data stream. This is handy. So if you want to look at the engine speed, say, the vehicle speed, and the MAF. MAF stands for mass airflow sensor. Let's have a look at those 3. You can press OK. And now it's going to give you this option here of graphing what those values are. You can see that it's pretending it's on the vehicle and we're getting live information. Graph. There we go. We can see that as a rev per minute, we're sitting at sort of tick over there, about just under 1,000 RPM. And as you start to drive and use the vehicle, these graphs can give you an indication if there's any issues. As well as those, look at all the other bi-directional ability I can use. There's 3 of 26 items here. Now, it's going to change dependent on the brand of vehicle that you have, but nevertheless, that is an awful lot. Everything from idle target, H2OS2, FSS, auto find sensors, throttle actuation. Let's have a look at the actuation test button. Here we've got physical actuation bi-directional ability tests that we can perform. Everything from the EGR, that stands for exhaust gas recirculation test. VTEC, that's your cars which have this ability to be able to throw an extra lobe under certain oil pressure and you get that lovely noise and extra boost in power, especially the Honda Civics. I've got a Mark 8 which has that. AC clutch, you can actually turn the clutch off and on again, fuel pump, etc. So let's have a look at the EGR test. Let's go into that and we'll press OK. And it gives you instructions on what to do. So start the engine, let's pretend we've done that. Keep the engine below 1500. Turn all electric devices off. Center the steering wheel, do not move the steering wheel during test. Press OK. And here we are, as if it's performing a little test for the diesel engine system. So lastly, most importantly, let's go into clear fault code. So are you sure you want to clear the fault code? Yes. Clear fault code is complete, and if you press OK now, what I like to do is go back and have a look to see if it's dropped off the list, and you can see it has, because we've now only got the one fault with the adaptive cruise, and the issue with the engine has now moved into the green areas at the bottom, so that's all nice and clean. So let's go into that one, let's clear the fault code, press OK, DTCs have been cleared, clear fault code completed. Let's go back and we should have them all green. And there we go, we've got no faults now on the car. Enough talk, let's go and see what it's really like on the car. Right, let's have a real life demo and see what she can do. Right, plug it in. So what you want is your OBD2 cable. It comes all with a kit. So it just plugs into there. So my little OBD port is just down here, just plug it in there. I've got lights, and all you got to do now is just leave that down there and then go and get the Bluetooth set up on your device. Do you know, a nice little touch though, it's got lights on both sides, because sometimes you plug it in and you don't realise because it's on the other side. So with your Bluetooth module plugged into your car, let's connect it to your launch. So let's go into local diagnostic and see if it then prompts automatically. So one thing I noticed down on my Bluetooth module there, I've got steady lights. That's a good sign. So I think we're connected. So let's go into local diagnostic. We're in Europe, so we go into there. We can either search the name up there or just scroll up a little bit and see. There's Mercedes-Benz. Look at all the cars it does. As I said, every car on the planet this thing does. Well, 99% of them. Pretty impressive. There's my software. So it says search Bluetooth there, so why not? Let's press that. Please wait. Loading. Oh, I hear a beep from down below. And look at that, straight away we got the 3 menus. So let's go automatic search. Wow, this is fast. Now I've used different diagnostic tools and I must admit that's the fastest I've seen it. Really quick. So far, excellent. Health report, system scan, and well, we see this on the demo, so we know what those are. So I'm going to do a health report. I'm going to see on the other side because I know that this is going to take about 5 or 6 minutes. And let's perform that test. Switch on ignition. I've got the car running because I'm a bit cold. And away you go. So she's run a full scan. And just like the demo, look at all the faults sitting up top in red every time I do this. And it's a good example, by the way, because you think your car's running sweet. I promise you, there'll always be fault codes. It could be anything from a bulb out and it's going to put a fault code on there. And as you drive and you've maybe replaced that license plate bulb as an example, that code will drop off. But I've got a bit of a dodgy LED, so it keeps coming up. But nevertheless, look at all these codes here. And then the ones at the bottom I'm not interested in because they're green and they're all good. So let's start at the top there. I'm going to go through, this is a real life demo, it's a good example, and we'll clear some codes and we'll also have a look at some live data because it's bi-directional. So engine control module, that was the one we saw in the demo. For me, I know exactly what this is because I have a sensor that I've got to change. It's an aging sensor. She's getting a bit old. The car is over 20 years old now and I've got to replace it. It's just that the weather hasn't been that good and haven't got around to doing it, but nevertheless it's there. So let's go to the next one, electronic stability program. It's saying I've got a 6230 fault code and a 6211 DTR. So on the right hand side, let's go and look it up on Google and see what it has to say about it. Look how fast that is. I'm really impressed. This is probably one of the fastest diagnostic tools, I think, in terms of latency between menus and internet that I've ever had. It's great. So it's got YouTube videos. I mean, we find everything out on YouTube, which is probably the reason you found this video, because you've searched for me. So there you go. You can go onto YouTube. Let's have a look at that. It's probably going to ask me to install YouTube because it's brand new. Maybe it's already there. Oh, tap to unmute. Oh, what's this guy? Auto repair guys. And there you go. You can go and have a look and see how to fix the fault thanks to YouTube.
Hey guys, welcome back to Auto Repair Guys. Today, quick video on the Mercedes.
Very good. Right, so let's get a good one for you. Let's see some live information. Electronic stability program. I've got 2 faults on there. It's showing as a 6230 and a 7211. I'll tell you what, it's getting dark, isn't it? That's winter drawing in. So let's go and see what we can do. Right, so let's have a look at these options here, of which we got 8, and that will vary between brands of car, etc. Module information, that's going to tell me about the part number, the software, the year of manufacture. So let's go into that. There we go. Control unit SBC121. It's Mercedes-Benz part number 03554622, and the manufacturer, the supplier, is Bosch. But what's good about this is if you have got a control module, and some of these modules, like for example the audio gateway, I know is buried under the back, so you can actually find the Mercedes-Benz part number, go and find a replacement part if you've got a problem with it, go and find your replacement part, and then you can actually use this software, use the control unit, the launch, to transfer that data over onto the new one. If we go to refault code, it's going to tell you a little bit more detail, and it gives you the option to do a code search. So if we search that up there, bang, straight into the internet, and away you go. We've already had a look at that. So we're going to read data stream now. It was going to give you options to, as you would maybe drive the vehicle, you can see the revs per minute. You can see if that's working properly. The ESP sensors, the switches, it's even got tyre pressure loss warning there. So for example, if I was going to RPN sensor, here I believe it's bringing up the ABS sensors, and they work on a Hall effect device where you've got a cog which is going around the hub of the wheel, and you've got a sensor, and as those cog's teeth rotate, the sensor picks up the voids, the highs and the lows, and they should all be even between all 4 wheels. And if there's an anomaly, then it knows that something's wrong and it puts the ABS on. Or it could be that one of the sensors isn't working, and I had that recently on an ABS sensor in the back of my car, and I used something like this to work out which sensor was at fault because it came up as an ABS warning on my dashboard. So if I just select all 4 and press OK, then at the moment we haven't got any speed. And if I was to drive along now, you should see those values go up. So let's try that and see. As you can see there, as I'm starting to move the vehicle, you can see that they're all even speeds, which is what it should do. I'm doing 4 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour, and you can see that they're all behaving themselves. So if one of them, for example, was to say 0 and the others are all saying 10 miles an hour, you know that that rear right sensor or whatever corner of the car is the one that you want to go and look at and change. You can see on a graph there quite nicely straight away visually if there's any issues, because one graph is going to show you quite a different story to the other three. So now I've gone back out those menus, let's try and clear the codes. Press enter, ignition is on, clear the fault codes, yes, switch off ignition, press OK, wait 10 seconds. Some cars you don't have to wait 10 seconds, some cars you do. Switch it back on again, press OK. Fault memory complete, all gone, all cleared. Let's have a look at another one here. If we go into the lower control panel, you can see here there's only 6 options on this particular control module. So if I go into Actuation test and see, you've got 2 options here. You've got functions illumination and switch illumination. So let's go to function illumination. We can press F3, it's going to turn those on, which is handy because you might have a bulb out and you're not too sure how to get to it and where and which bulb is out. You can do that and find out before you go taking off panels. So if I press F3, and you're having a look at, this is the lower control panel here, so we're looking for lights that would come on. If I press my parking, for example, manually press it, it comes on. But we actually want to test it to see if this is working with the control unit. So by pressing the F3 function up here, it should actually turn them on. So let's press F3 and let's watch what happens to the lower control panel. And there we go, look, all the lights are on, and F12 is going to turn them all off. You can see that this actually gives you that ability to be able to really go down into the detail and understand which items are actually at fault. So let's now go and clear those codes. So we go into clear codes, press yes, going to tell me about turning the ignition off, press it off, which it is, and back on again, press OK. Says it's all complete, press OK. Let's go back and see if it's dropped off. Yep, and it's now gone. The lower control panel has disappeared, and if I move down to the greens, we should see it down there somewhere. There it is, lower control panel. So it's now got a clean bill of health. Okay, let's have a quick look at the bottom here. You've got report, help, and clear DTCs. If you were to press clear DTCs, it would clear them all. It will get rid of all the problems that it can in one hit, which is quite nice if you want to start fresh. But I like to go into each and every single one of them and just have a little look myself. The report function is actually what it sounds, and it puts and populates the items which has issues on your vehicle, along with the VIN number and the year manufactured and the engine number, and you can then send that to your customer. So you can put the details of when you've done the work, you can show what the faults are, and you can do it in a nice, concise PDF report which you can email to the customer. So let's press OK there. So here we go, you can populate all the details. If you've got a garage, you put your telephone number in, address, etc., and then just press OK. And there we go, we got a lovely little professional report. It shows that it's the launch X431. It tells the details of the repair shop, if I put them in, the details of the vehicle, most importantly, and here are all those faults. And so you can send it to the customer and they can see full well that you provided a detailed diagnostic. You've also got an option to do a QR code sharing as well. Let's have a look at the other functions here. So going back to the main page, software updates, as it sounds, I've got 49 updates. I'm not going to do it now and bore you. You'll get a 2-year free update on this, and you can also update the individual ones that you want. I'm just using my mobile phone. It works absolutely fine. So I've updated the Mercedes one specifically to do this video for you. You pay a small amount depending on how many vehicles that you want to update. If you want everything to be updated, that's going to cost you a little bit more. But if you just want to say update a few because you might only have 1 or 2 vehicles, then you can just pay a small amount. And I think it's not much. It's maybe a few dollars per month or a few pounds per month that you need to pay. Diagnostic history, that's going to show you just like we've done today. You can go back into it if you've forgotten, oh, what was that car that I did and what were the results? You got that there because it's stored it on the device, which is lovely. You've also got service function. There's 35 plus different service functions on this, and it all depends on the vehicle that you're doing your diagnostic on. But look at all these different things that you can do. ABS bleeding, AC system relearn, adaptive front lighting, DPF regeneration. So quite often the diesels, you know, they're getting choked up because the diesel particle filter, that's what DPF means, gets a lot of especially on low small journeys. If you press DPF regen, I'm sitting in a petrol car, so it's not going to do anything for it, but it actually will then end up increasing the revs, and you can probably do a clear out of that soot of your DPF. So really handy. EGR adaptation, which is exhaust gas recirculation. Again, similar, and it can get linked with the DPF. High voltage battery, gearbox reload, NOx sensor reset, tire reset. It's all there. Loads and loads of functions for the service reset. Really impressive. Full updates are going to cost you $50 a month, and then they go down to 20, 15, 10, and if you just got 5, I think most people don't have more than one car, but if you want to do 5 different resets of your software, then it will cost you £15 a month to have that after your 2-year period. So not so bad. So let's go into Info Center here. So you've got operational tips, which is obviously how to use this device, but also you've got a technology handbook, which is quite nice. You need to download them, but you can actually say get an Audi handbook, Chrysler, Ford, GM. If I go into other modules here, this is where you can put other things onto it. You can download it. Remember, it is just a little Android tablet after all. If I go into tablet settings, this is bespoke to this actual device. And look, it just behaves exactly like a tablet. In fact, if you press the little button down there with the screens, you can actually flick between the screens. If I go to files now, this is where it's going to store certain things that I've done. So images that I've used. I can also put more apps on this if I want to. If I go to files now, in here, you can actually download and put other apps on it there. There's actually an app button. And if you have a little look, it shows that I've got 10 gigabytes used of 54. So it's got a 60 gigabyte storage. And recording master, this is where you can actually do a screen recording. So I could have filmed all of this and just recorded the screen, but I like to have a separate camera. I think it gives it a bit more real information for you. So I'm actually really glad I've been asked to review this, because up until now I probably would have been that bothered about having a Bluetooth connection, but I get it now. I understand, because the flexibility of having this in your hand, I can go outside, I can go into the back and have a look at maybe the DVD control unit, I can go in the engine and all the rest. No wires, it's great, it's all there. Got a camera on the back so I can take pictures as I'm using it, as I'm doing my diagnostic. It's very much set up, I think, towards a professional garage. It does pretty much every single car on the planet. That's over 100 different brands, and there's 99% of all cars are covered on this. And even if you're not a garage, somebody that's perhaps more capable than your average Joe Blogs, this thing here is really going to get you out of trouble. Just for example, if you got a problem with the ABS, you saw we went for a drive, you could see which sensor, if there was a fault, it would have come up, it would have told you, and then as you're capable, you can go and change that sensor, and you saved all that labor and the wait time in going to a garage. That's another thing. These days it takes forever to try and get your car fixed. So look, thank you so much for those guys that chose to follow me, subscribe and give me the thumbs up. I'm only a one-man band, but it really does help, and I love reading the comments, and I will do my utmost and try and respond to you if you got issues and try and help you out, especially my members, of which I'm getting a lot of people now contacting me, and I always do my utmost to try and answer your questions as soon as possible. See you on the next one.